MCI Center in our nation's capital, normally home to the NBA's Wizards, the WNBA's Mystics, and the NHL's Capitals. But this evening, a stage for America's up-and-coming young hoop stars as we get set for the 29th annual Jordan Brand Capital Classic, featuring the great stars from the D.C. metropolitan area against the creme de la creme from around the nation. Hi, folks. Glad you're with us tonight. Steve Buckhantz with Glenn Kotzor. An enticing game, Glenn. As you know, the great stars eclipse into the future. Many of these kids unfamiliar to most, but in just a few short years, many of them will be household names.
And household names that might ring a bell are Grant Hill, Jason Kidd, Magic, and Michael all played here in the Jordan Brand Capital Classic.
The U.S. stars are led by Brandon Bowman, who comes all the way from the West Coast to bring his game to Georgetown this year.
Out of Westchester High School in Los Angeles, one of the top high schools in the nation. They were #1 a good portion of this year. 6'8". He could play three positions. When you think of Brandon Bowman, you think of his versatility. He could beat you in so many different ways. Brandon Bowman's one of these guys, Buck. He could post you up. He could turn face. Great range and also make the three. Craig Estrick has a lot to be happy about.
The Capital All-Stars are led by a guy who you feel may have been overlooked by some program.
No question about it. Jermaine Thomas, I believe, is one of the best point guards in the nation. And let me tell you why. Thomas could beat you from making the three-point shots, but he has a terrific feel for the game. He could put the ball on the floor. He really understands how to run the break. He also plays slow. One of the toughest things to teach a great point guard is how to play slow. And Thomas led Thomas Johnson High School out of Frederick, Maryland, to be one of the top teams in the nation this year.
These are the kind of games that have the coaches licking their chops, salivating, if you will. It nonetheless was a banner year recruiting-wise for the local schools, the ACC and the Big East.
Well, it always seems the rich get richer, and big-time players go to big-time conferences. When you take a look at what the Big East got, Lewis Hinnon, a 6'3" guard, going to Boston College. Chris Quinn's going to Notre Dame. Rick Cornett, Notre Dame as well. ACC also loaded once again. Doing a great job recruiting some of the top players in the country. Galloway at a Notre Dame, going to Florida State. Chris McRae, Maryland. Nick Kane of Medley. This is a terrific class going to the ACC, Buck.
Does it hurt you when you win the national championship to go out and recruit?
Oh, that helps. Yeah, it helps tremendously.
Great game coming up tonight. We look forward to it every year. The Capital Classic, the Jordan Brand Capital Classic from our nation's capital, features the local stars and the U.S. stars, and we've got it for you coming up right after these words. for the 29th annual Jordan Brand Capital Classic. And some of the greatest stars who ever played got their start in this game. Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Patrick Ewing in 1981, Juan Dixon and Jason Williams back in 1997. Speaking of former Maryland greats, we have one with us tonight. Adrian Branch joins us for sideline comments. Adrian.
How you doing out there? What we got here today is the Capital Classic. I was privileged to participate in it way back in 1981 with Patrick Ewing and Michael Jordan, and it's wonderful to see Nike and Brand Jordan coming along. I think it's going to be some great basketball tonight.
All right, Adrian, we look forward to going you throughout the game as we are set to go. Steve Buckhantz with Glenn Consor. And many of these players have already chosen their schools, and some are still undecided, but it is a collection of terrific athletes this season, one of the best ever. Shawan Robinson hits from Raleigh, North Carolina, going to Clemson.
Buck, we got a nice backcourt in Todd Galloway and Jermaine Thomas, two lightning quick guards, really combo guys that could do it both.
We'll set the starting lineups for you momentarily. Chad Moore from Oak Hill Academy down in Mount of Wilson, Virginia, always one of the perennial top 5 schools in the nation. A prep school that gets a lot of these players ready for college and many for pros.
Bob Huggins is going to love Chad Moore. Obviously, he's got a big-time void to fill, replacing Steve Logan, who has finished his career, and got to believe Moore's going to step right in nicely.
Thomas passes off inside to Ahmad Smith, who is a local guy from O'Connell High School in Arlington, going to St. Bonaventure in the Atlantic 10, and he scores.
Saw that pass by Thomas, how he gets in the lane, Buck. He really has a good understanding where guys are on the floor. Terrific feel for the game.
This is Kevin Steenberg to Smith. 4 12-minute quarters in this game. Ball knocked away and stolen by the U.S. Stars. Chad Moore with a nice hesitation move goes inside to Robert Height.
And Buck Height has some big-time tops going to Miami, and Miami losing Jod Salmons this year is going to need a scorer, and Height's going to fill that role at Winton Woods High School in Raleigh, North Carolina. A tremendous leaper.
Inside, the ball lost and stolen away by the U.S. Stars, and they run. Brandon Bowman, who we highlighted in the open, goes all the way but misses the finger roll.
Well, you really could see the versatility of that kid, Buck. 6'8", putting it on the floor, running the break, little crossover moves. And talk about serious hops. Nick George at a Montrose Christian actually started his playing career in Manchester, England,
wow,
which is where he's from. A terrific body, real strong, and he could do it all. Not yet decided, Buck. We don't even have any inside tips.
Skuchis loses the ball inside, and here comes the Capitals. George ahead of the pack and lays it in nicely. Nick George, who averaged 18 points a game and 10 rebounds at Montrose Christian, which is in Rockville, Maryland.
You know, I had a chance to talk to his high school coach, Stu Vetter, who also had the privilege of coaching Nate James, very similar type games. Nick George plays so hard, great intensity and active body.
Stu Vetter, who for years was at Flint Hill and coached some of the great NBA stars like Dennis Scott. And a foul is called inside. All right, let's take a look at the Toyota lineups as we started this game tonight. For the U.S. Stars, Moore, Robinson, Skuchis, Height, and Bowman. And for the Capital All-Stars, Galloway, Thomas, Steenberg, Smith, and George. The U.S. All-Stars are coached by Cokie Robertson from St. Maria Goretti High School in Hagerstown. And the Capital All-Stars by Larry Cullinane from Notre Dame Academy in Middleburg, Virginia. Longtime star there. And the U.S. Stars are out to an 11-6 lead. Last year, the U.S. Stars won the game 96-76. They lead the all-time series 19-10. Beautiful pass inside, but stolen away. Here comes Chad Moore ahead of the pack. And again, Height gets a slam.
Boy, you can really see how Bob Huggins is going to love Chad Moore. See how he just looks up the floor. Great vertical passer, good vision, And that's what you need in a point guard, someone who can see guys up ahead.
6 points in the quarter for Height. As George fires one up, he misses, and the rebound comes down to Moore. Ahead of the pack to Height once again, who does a nice job to chase it down. But it's picked up by George ahead of the big man, and he slams.
Well, Buck, one thing we know for sure is that we're not going to see a whole lot of defense, and we're going to see a whole lot of points scored, and we're going to see a whole lot of transition baskets as well.
Don't have to worry about a low-scoring affair here this evening, and the scorer will be kept busy tonight. Jason Wingate. Moore into the paint. Pretty move, and he rolls it in.
You know, Buck, you got to love the affiliation of Michael Jordan with this game, this terrific game that has a fabulous reputation. Easy Thomas getting the lane, but, you know, you got to love the fact that he, for once, is putting his name and affiliating his name into a high school all-star game. It's really the first time he's ever done that, and it really goes to show you how important this game is, not only to Michael, but also to the region.
George again inside gets two.
George is having fun, Buck. He's having fun out there.
15-10, U.S. Stars in the lead. Thomas with a nice rebound. Here's Wade Dunston. Steenberg comes up short, and the rebound comes down to Lee Melchione. Into the wing for Chad Moore, fires and misses right there for the rebound, and the score is Brandon Bowman.
Well, Buck, keep your eye on Lee Melchione, who is going to be on his way to Duke next year, actually as a walk-on. But that might be the best walk-on ever in the history of college basketball, because they already committed their 5 scholarships, Mike Krzyzewski did, to other players. Melchione came, wanted to play. He will get that scholarship his second year, his sophomore year, but he is a big-time player, and I'll make a prediction. He's going to play a lot of minutes next year.
We'll take a timeout. Return to the MCI Center after these words. Our 17-10, the 29th annual Jordan Brand Capital Classic. Steve Buckhantz with Glenn Consor, and we've seen a lot of scoring early. Both teams running and gunning. Chris Williams in the game now as wholesale substitutions with Chris McCray. Williams tossed the jumper, air ball, and it's taken down by Chad Moore. Beautiful pass inside and the layup from Lee Melchione, whose Uncle Bill played at Villanova and with the Nets, so if the name is familiar to you, that's why, Bill Melchione.
He did a great job with the Nets. Actually played with Dr. J for a while at the Nassau Coliseum in New York. Good old days.
Chris Gooden takes a shot and misses. Melchione ahead of the pack. And now waits for his team, Wingate. Boy, every year, Glenn, the talent just seems to get better and better. We've seen it result in tremendous college play from players that started in this game just last year and years past.
Chris McCray is a terrific shooter. We saw him miss that one, but he's on his way to Maryland. And as you mentioned, Buck, not a bad thing to recruit when you know you have won the national championship. You walk into someone's house and say, hey, guys, we got it going here. Chad Moore's putting on a show. Chad Moore is a terrific player. You know, he's really a combo guard. Even though he's doing a nice job running the show, he's one of these guys, Buck, that could also make the three, so he's going to be valuable for Bob Huggins at Cincinnati.
He helped Oak Hill to another big season, including upending the #1 ranked Westchester team at the National Academy Invitational in Houston.
You know, anytime you hear of a guard going to Cincinnati, Buck, you got to wonder exactly how good he is, because he's got some big shoes to fill. Nick Van Exel, Kenny Satterfield, Steve Logan.
Beautiful pass, and the follow is in, and I'm not sure who they'll credit that to.
I think it was Lewis Hinnett.
It is, and Hinnett gets his second field goal.
Hinnett's on his way to Boston College, Buck, and he's going to have 1 year to play with Troy Bell and also Ryan Sidney. So between those three guys, Al Skinner is going to be a happy man. Those three guys running the show in the backcourt.
In it, averaging 21.5 points, 10 assists. Lay inside and a foul is called. Will send Chad Moore to the free throw line. Wholesale substitutions for Koki Robertson. All right, let's take a moment to send it over to former Maryland star Adrian Branch. Adrian?
Just throw that out to you.
Yeah, come.
Hello. Hello. What I have here is Howard Garfinkel, who's been running five-star basketball camp for many, many years. 37 years since Moses Malone. What do you like in today's basketball player?
The athleticism of today's player is spectacular. Every one of these kids is a great athlete. The problem is that they don't work on their game.
Work on their game. He says it's great athletes, but they need to work on their game. Steve, we're going to give it back to you. Appreciate that.
That's it?
That's my Garf.
That's it, Howard.
That's my man right there.
Howard was looking for more airtime. You know a lot about Howard Garfinkel, Glenn.
I certainly do. And actually, I credit Howard Garfinkel for getting me into college. I went, him coming out of Bayside High School in New York. I was not recruited. And the summer before my senior year, I went to his camp in Honesdale, Pennsylvania, got back from the camp and had all kinds of offers and letters, and I had to take him to dinner last night.
It paid off. Timeout. 3:12 to go in the quarter. U.S. Stars lead the Capital Stars 22-16. Nabbed MVP honors for the U.S. squad, scored 22 points, 11 rebounds, joined by Shane Battier of Duke and William Avery. Avery, in fact, tied Brand with a game-high 22 points. And on the other side of the ball, the Capital All-Star most valuable player was Ruben Boonche, the former Georgetown Hoya, who stood out, controlled the backboard, tossed in 11 points. Fellow Hoya Anthony Perry played well as well, along with Juan Dixon from the University of Maryland and Terrence Morris, all making strong contributions. That was in 1997, one of the most talent-laden years of this classic.
Some pretty high draft picks in that crew. All those guys. And obviously, we're going to see Juan Dixon get drafted very high. I believe he's going to be a good pro. You know, there's some questions about that, but there's no question in my mind, Buck, that he could do it in the NBA because he's a great shooter. More importantly, he's a terrific defender. How about that block by Quinn?
Looking at another Maryland player here who swishes one through, Chris McCray, known as Instant Offense, and he'll be playing for Gary Williams.
You know, you look at his body, it reminds you a little bit of Juan Dixon. Very thin. He's going to have to put on some LBs for Gary Williams, but he's got great range. You put it on the floor. Very quick and smart player. He will be terrific in the break.
Chris Quinn, out of Kaufman High School in Dublin, Ohio, who's going to Notre Dame with Rick Cornett. Inside a block and taken down by the U.S. Stars. Rashad Anderson fires from long range. That rims. Here come the Capital Classic Stars and stolen away. Rick Cornett, nice pass underneath. And the lay-in to Derek Byers, who's headed to Virginia.
And they're going to need him at Virginia. Obviously, Roger Mason Jr. just declaring his eligibility. Doesn't mean he's going to go now. He could still pull out, Buck.
Wynn misses the long jumper. Warren Williams the rebound. In fact, we've had a couple of guys change their minds.
Yep.
Leaning one way and going another, deciding at the last minute.
Well, the deal is the draft this year is June 26th, so the guys who declare now have until June 19th to pull their name out. So really depends. Now this is when the phone calls start. Where am I going to be drafted? All the agents are talking, but actually you can't talk to an agent. So they have to get a feel for where they will go in the draft.
Rick Cornett throws one up underneath, and he is fouled. And the 6'8", 225-pound center from Homewood Christian Academy in Illinois will go to the line.
Let me take that back. You can talk to an agent. You just can't sign with an agent. The agents can kind of give you a feel of where you're going to go. And that's when you make your determination of, do I stay get picked high, or do I wait maybe till next year?
Substitutes coming in again as Cornette will try another. He's going to Notre Dame, one of the premier big men in the country. Great inside presence, really fills space in the lane, 6'8", 225, and built for the next level. He makes one of two.
Yeah, he's going to be a good one. Obviously, they're losing Ryan Humphrey. And Mike Gray, who is a terrific coach, is going to have to rely on Cornette to come off the bench and bang. This year, Chris Quinn's obviously is going to have the opportunity to play with Chris Thomas. And I really think those guys can play together, but kind of like Duhan and Jason Williams.
Chris Gooden from Lee High School in Springfield, Virginia hits. He'll be headed to Radford as Cornette scores underneath. 32-23. Here's Pele. Fires the jumper and misses. He's got one field goal.
And he had a great high school career for Dan Harwood, one of my college teammates at Boston University, Buck. At Magruder High School, they won the state last year when Pele was a junior. And you see Chris Williams, terrific low post player. They'll look to try to get him the ball inside.
Long jumper is short from Chris Gooden. Rebounded by Pele.
Pele's just a great athlete. A terrific soccer player. He was the Washington Post Player of the Year in soccer. So he's one of these guys that could do it all.
Chris McRae is fouled. We'll get a chance to see his free throw shooting. Called one of the most skilled passers and playmakers in Prince George's County. And not in the 1-and-1 yet, so no shots taken. Warren Williams drives all the way, lays it off nicely. And the play made by Pele. Good pass inside.
Yeah, Warren Williams is going to do a nice job for Oliver Purnell at Dayton next year. A terrific penetrator, and I know you're used to quarters, but I'm not.
And that's the end of quarter number one, and it was a high-scoring one with lots of good play here at Washington, 32-25. The U.S. All-Stars in the lead. In our nation's capital between the U.S. All-Stars and the Capital All-Stars, and after one quarter of play, a nice period by Chad Moore from the U.S. Stars, who had 8 points, and 8 points for Nick George for the Capitals. Let's send it over now to Adrian Branch. Adrian?
What I have here, finally, I still call him Coach George Raveling here, and Howard White talking to him on that side. Coach, what do you like about today's athlete, the class of 2000?
Well, I think that they're multi-talented individuals that can go in and contribute right away at the collegiate level. I'm not always certain that they can perform at the professional level, though.
He's talking about they can contribute right away at the collegiate level. I like that. Give it back to you guys, Steve.
All right, Adrian, Coach, thank you very much. We're underway in the second quarter. Steve Buckhantz with Glenn Consor. Unbelievable move and a spinning move inside from Wade Dunston. Dunston, undecided, was leaning towards West Virginia until the coaching change was made, Glenn.
Well, Dunston had a great career for Mike Hibbs at Bullis High School, one of the top programs in the Washington area. And Dunston now, I had a chance to talk to him. You know, he came from this area, Buck, and Peachey County actually went to school in Bullis, going to the Capital Classic, the Jordan Brand Capital Classic. Ever since he was a little kid, he feels honored to play here. And he told me also that he likes Wyoming. Wyoming very interested in having Dunston, and why not? He can put the ball on the floor, and he can take it in very strong. I love his intensity on defense. Pittsburgh's looking at him also, Cincinnati.
Kevin Steenberg to the line from River Hill High School in Clarksville, Maryland. You know, normally with this Capital All-Star team, there's always one or two guys that they sort of bring in from the outside, but this year they didn't need to do that to fill out the roster. There is so much talent within the entire Washington metropolitan and outlying areas that they were able to fill up the roster with local guys.
That's right, and you know, Steenberg had a great career in Richmond. You know, he's going to Richmond at Clarksville, Maryland, which is up Columbia way. Had a chance to talk to his dad, Mike, and I said, you know, tell me about your son. Tell me a little bit about your son. He goes, well, I'll make it real simple. Averaged 24 points a game, 17 rebounds, and 8 block shots. And I said, come on. Is that a little exaggerated? He goes, no, I'm not kidding around. And he made a good choice to go to Richmond, Steenberg did, because John Beeline is a fabulous coach. He took Richmond to the Atlantic 10 finals this year, and 2 of their big guys were hurt. So good decision by Kevin.
Nick Cantor Medley to inbound. Quinn once again, and he is a deadeye. Chris Quinn, one of the deadliest shooters around, and the type of kid with all the intangibles, a hard worker, focused, hustles, great role model with an innate will to win. Here's Dunston again. He gets fouled and will shoot 3.
Rashad Anderson fouled him behind the three-point line, and you know what that means, Buck? He's going to shoot 3. There's Rashad Anderson on his way to UConn. You know, it seems like Jim Calhoun, Buck, likes those guys 6'5", 6'6", that could slash to the basket and score, i.e. Ray Allen and also Rip Hamilton, someone you're very familiar with.
There's Chris Quinn. Interesting story about him. His dad worked for United Parcel, and back in 1990 was transferred to the Chicago suburbs. They knew that son Chris was a special athlete, even though at the time he was only 6 years old. So they were looking for a high school player that he could emulate. They searched through the newspapers. They went to games. They discovered a kid by the name of Chris Collins at Glenbrook North High.
Good choice.
Who just happens to be the son of Doug Collins, who at the time was between stints as head coach of Chicago and Detroit. He was doing TV broadcasts. They liked Chris so much that the Quinns started going to every game. They became close friends with the Collinses, and Chris Quinn, beautiful block inside, 2 of them in a row. And a foul committed. To finish the thought on Chris Quinn, Quinn began competing. He wore jersey number 20, just as Chris Collins did and Doug Collins did. In fact, Chris Collins, who is currently an assistant coach at Duke, played in the Cap Classic in '92 and scored 15 points. And, of course, Doug is the head coach of the Wizards.
Chris Collins was a great player for Duke. What a terrific shooter. Now on the bench.
They can't say enough good things about Chris Quinn. And a turnover will go back to the U.S. All-Stars. They lead 37-31 as the lead is cut to 6. Larry Cullinane from Notre Dame Academy in Middleburg, Virginia, starting his 6th season at Notre Dame this fall.
Coach Larry was a assistant coach too.
Alley-oop hit the backboard.
We didn't see a lot of those. Cullinane was an assistant coach to Stu Vedder when he was at St. John's Prospect Hall many, many years.
And the slam by Nick Cantor Medley, another Maryland player from Deering High School in Portland, Maine, but headed to be a Terrapin.
See, I think he's a great story, Buck. You know, we got some great stories about these kids, but Nick Cantor Medley is from Maine. Deerfield, Maine, Buck. Now, you know, when you see his game, you see his ups. Now, I grew up in New York City. Guys like, we had guys like that in New York City. You didn't think guys that could jump and have his type of swagger coming from Maine.
Right.
With all due respect.
He disproves your theory.
That's right, out the window.
One of the most celebrated players in Maine history, averaged 35 points a game and continually put his Deering High School squad on his back in the 4th quarter. Acrobatic play. Well, Cornette has just done a terrific job on the boards. He has been unbelievable. Has that one stolen away, but I like his persistence. Ahmad Smith. Todd Galloway draws a foul. It's charged to Chad Moore. And wholesale substitutions. A quintet coming into the game for the U.S. All-Stars. And we'll take a timeout with 7:49 to play here in the first half of action in the 29th annual Jordan Brand Capital Classic, where the U.S. Stars lead the Capital Stars 39-31. from the class of 1999 here in the Capital Classic, and if those names look familiar to you, they should, because they were just on display, many of them, a week or so ago in the NCAA championship.
And all these guys obviously have done some major damage in the NCAA, some terrific players. I love Collison, though. I think he's one of these guys, Buck, that could just beat you in so many different ways. 6'8", 6'9", could shoot, runs the floor. And obviously Drew Gooden.
Back in play, and the Capital squad has cut the lead to 8. Todd Galloway going to Florida State, pumps up the long jumper and hits. Todd Galloway, one of the absolute top players in the region, competing in a very tough Beltway league where he led the league title and the Virginia State runner-up.
You know, if there was one question mark about Galloway's game is his jump shot, but talking to Larry Cullinan, he told me that he really worked on his jump shot, improved his shot this year, and obviously enough that Florida State would like his services in the backcourt.
An amazing save to keep the ball from going into the backcourt. There's Cullinan.
Larry Cullinan. He's done a great job at Notre Dame Academy again. Assistant coach to Stu Vedder for many, many years. He's taken over the job and building Notre Dame Academy to one of the top programs in the East Coast.
Brandon Bowman. And a pushing foul is called on the Capital All-Stars. It's on Nick George. Here's another look at it.
Nick George gives him a little bump from behind, and you see Bowman trying to take baseline. That's what you really see his versatility. This Nick having a nice game. Undecided. Nick George out of Montrose Christian, coached by Stu Vedder.
5 new players come in, and a long jumper by Brandon Bowman. Westchester High School in Los Angeles, who's headed to Georgetown. Great inside presence, but as you can see, comfortable to step away from the basket. Pele leads it off for Williams. Nice pass inside. Shot no good by Castro. And persistence by the Capital squad. Beautiful move, but he missed the shot. Pele. And the rebound to Brandon Bowman. Melchione from long range, no good. Chris Williams, beautiful pass to Castro inside. And Michael Castro, who has yet to decide where he is going. Of course, played at Spin Garn in D.C. and was a great player in the district. Brandon Bowman knocks one down from the baseline.
You talked about Michael Castro, Buck. Spin Garn won back-to-back DCI AA championships right here in the district. Really on his back. He's a terrific player, real strong inside. A lot of schools looking at him. GW, Fordham, Howard University, Hampton. Some good choices there.
Warren Williams throws one up. Pele is there, and he scores. A 6'10" guard from Magruder High in Rockville.
Young man won the state championship under Dan Harwood as a junior. They went to the semifinals this year, losing to Jermaine Thomas, Thomas Johnson High School.
Brandon Bowman drives baseline and appeared to have stepped on the line and turned it over. Ted Skuchis is in the game for the U.S. All-Stars, wears number 54. That's a look at Lewis Hinnett from Gwynn Park High in Brandywine, Maryland. 6 turnovers for the Capitals, 5 for the U.S. Nice block inside, but they'll call the foul on Skuchis. 6'11", 245, going to Vanderbilt.
And Buck, Skuchis came from a terrific program, Germantown Academy. I had a chance to see those guys play this year, teaming up with Lee Melchione and another terrific player that's going to Florida to play for Billy Donovan by the name of Matt Walsh. Those 3 guys really were dominant this year. And Skuchis at 6'11", and you know, you can't teach height. And he's one of those guys that really just loves to bang. And he's really like one of these Timex pivot guys. Takes a licking, but he keeps on ticking. He just constantly battles. Also at 6'11", he's an accomplished musician. Might be the tallest bass player in the country too.
Well, that would be the instrument to play, would it not?
I guess so. He uses, it's like a guitar in his hand.
Like a violin.
Right.
A tremendous move by Robinson would not fall. Rebound is up and in by Robert Height. He played well early in the game. Winton Woods High School in Cincinnati, and he's got 8 points.
He's going to have a great career at Miami because he's going to have the opportunity to play with Darius Rice and James Jones next year, and those guys are high risers, and you see how high he goes. So obviously, Coach Clark does a good job of recruiting guys that get up. There he is again.
Height with 10 points. Very aware of the passing lanes, plays them well. Mentally tough attitude. Spent the season dominating games with his court leadership. Beautiful pass underneath to Castro.
How about the pass by Lewis Hinnon, who's going to Boston College next year to play for Al Skinner, a terrific guard who could do a lot of things. Good size, too.
Brandon Bowman from long range. Greg Esherick likes to see that. McCray drives, Castro the rebound, throws it up and in off the glass. Well, you better have some oxygen if you plan to watch this game, because these kids are up and down the floor. 52-43 U.S. Stars. Alley-oop coming, and he missed the slam. Castro was there for the defense.
You know, that pass was a little low, Buck. You got to get it up a little higher over the rim.
Ball was kicked. Timeout on the floor. 2:25 to go in the first half. U.S. up 52-43.
All-Stars are leading 52-43. And, Buck, we have a terrific game here because these guys, obviously, based on the score, are not bashful.
Not at all. In fact, we've seen Brendan Bowman, who is headed to Georgetown, put up 3 three-pointers and make them.
And that's what Georgetown likes about his game, Buck. He's 6'8", only about 200 pounds. Greg Esherick is going to obviously want to put on some LBs. There's Mike Teasley, assistant coach at Notre Dame Academy. Actually is the brother of Nikki Teasley of North Carolina, first-team All-American. Sister expects to go to the WNBA next season, a terrific guard for North Carolina over the last 4 years, and obviously basketball runs in the family.
Castro will take the long jumper, clanks it off the back of the glass, and the rebound comes to the U.S. Stars. Cross-court, long jumper, Robert Height. This one he misses. Right there is Melchione. He's blocked from behind. But Lee Melchione will go to the free throw line.
Fouls on Mike Castro, Buck. I'm sorry. What I was going to mention about Lee Melchione is, you know, he's going to Duke as a walk-on next year. And the recruiting class that Mike Krzyzewski is bringing in, Reddick and Randolph, Williams, Sean Dockery, and Michael Thompson out of Chicago. And this kid, Lee Melchione, I'm going to make a prediction now. You're going to write it down, aren't you?
I don't have a pen on me.
This Lee Melchione is going to blossom. He's going to play a lot more minutes than people expect next year as a freshman at Duke because he's 6'7", and he's a terrific shooter.
From Germantown Academy in Fort Washington, Pennsylvania. Nothing worse than a reporter without a pen. Short jumper in and out.
I wrote it down for you, Buck.
Height has been playing well at both ends of the court. Here's Melchione. Alley-oop coming. Beautiful play. He hit Chad Moore in midair, and he converted.
How about that? 6'7" power forward throwing the alley-oop to the 6-foot guard in Chad Moore.
Largest lead of the game for the U.S. Stars. They're up 56-43. Pass inside. A lot of time in the lane. Knocked away. And stolen up ahead to Melchione. He'll go easy to the hoop, and he missed the slam. Chad Moore gets the rebound and sets things back up. Here's Melchione again. Got it. Three-pointer.
Well, I guess threes are easier than dunks. Got a sweet-looking lefty jump shot there.
Sure was. In the lane, Height tips it away. 2-on-1. U.S. Stars run. Wingate is blocked and fouled. Jason Wingate will head to the free throw line from Rice High School in New York. And as you can see, runs the floor well, always seems to make the right decision.
Jason Wingate plays at Rice High School for Maurice Hicks, a terrific guard. Steve Hall's looking at him, Manhattan College, Fairfield, very quick with the basketball, really knows how to run a fast break. And actually, his team last year, Buck, this past season, won the New York City and New York State title.
Wow.
You know, those guys at Rice High School, when they go play on the road in these tournaments out of town, they come back, and their harder games are playing in their local games in the Catholic League in New York City. So it's a break to go on there, go away and play on the road for those guys.
He has not yet decided where he's headed to college.
Rice High School in Harlem, New York.
Warren Williams is trapped, now goes baseline for McRae. And the future Maryland star knocks it down. Chris McRae, who averaged 26 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists. Ooh, Fairmont Heights High School. And we have come to the end of the first half. The U.S. Stars end the half on a 16-6 run in the last 3 minutes and 50 seconds. And we have seen some very productive play from both these squads tonight.
It's clearly some of the top high school basketball talent in the area, and it's really nice to see how Nike and Jordan and Brand Jordan get involved with this type of a basketball game, Buck. You know, it really links the Nike Inc. Jordan division with the nation's top high school basketball talent, and it benefits the Children's National Medical Center. So obviously the proceeds from this game for a good cause.
Halftime in Washington, the U.S. Stars lead the Capital Stars 61-45. We'll take a break and come back with halftime activities from the MCI Center after these words. All-Star game. Steve Buckhantz with Glenn Consor. Well, we haven't had many surprises early. We knew it would be run and gun. We knew there'd be a lot of shots taken, but the level of play has been exceptional, I think, tonight.
Oh, no question about it. I'm very impressed with Brandon Bowman and his versatility. 6'8", can make three-point shots and put it on the floor and run the fast break. Obviously, Craig Escherick at Georgetown is going to be a very happy man when he starts running the show. He's got to put on a little bit of weight to rebound. He's going to expect him to rebound. Of course, I also like Chad Moore running the show as well. Combo guard, pushing the ball up the floor, great passes. Also, we saw him at the other end of an alley-oop dunk.
Bowman hit 3 3-pointers in the game. He likes to step back and shoot, and he's shown us the ability to do that here tonight. For the local Stars, the Capital Stars, Michael Castro has pumped in 9 points, and he's done a nice job tonight.
At a Spingarn High School, does a terrific job. He's one of these putback guys. Doesn't have a lot of flash inside, really blue-collar, good energy, takes up a lot of space inside. Another guy that has not yet made his decision, but it's not a bad thing to wait too. You know, sometimes it takes a little longer to see where you're going to go, and obviously he has some good grades as well. I had a chance to talk to his uncle a couple of days ago, and he's also bilingual, so that's going to help him anywhere he goes.
Certainly will. Joining us now at halftime is a former Maryland star, Adrian Branch, and he is standing by with Howard White, Vice President for Jordan Brand Sports.
Thank you, Steve. What I have here is Howard White, legendary player, came out in 1972, one of my mentors. What's your involvement with the game here today, Howard?
Hey, AB, I'm with Brand Jordan and Nike, and, you know, they came to us, and Michael played in this game.
With my year.
Yeah, you all played in this together.
Right.
And we wanted to kind of take it to another level. So we got involved, and we got Brand Jordan and Michael involved, and he went out and spoke to the players yesterday and talked to them about, you know, basketball and life, and just want to really do something positive.
Yeah, could you talk about where they said the Jordan experience? It's more than just this basketball game here they're talking about, but the Jordan experience. What is that?
Well, the Jordan experience, you know, if you typically, you know, all-star games, you know, guys just kind of run up and down, shoot, you know, but they want to do what Michael has done, you know, what he has stood for and exemplified, the hard work.
Student athlete.
And student athlete, you know, he went back to school, he got his degree, always played hard, whether it was the best team or the worst team. He always came to play, and, you know, trying to teach the young fellas that, you know, this is what professionalism is about. This is what basketball is about.
What do you like about today's athlete versus back when we played?
Wow. You know, I don't know what it is they're eating, but, you know, I think every generation gets bigger and stronger and more athletic. They see you all. They saw what you all could accomplish, and then they feed off of that, and they take it another round. They take it another step higher. And I just think that they get better and better and better. Physically, I mean, they're like grown-ups. They're like men.
Yeah, that's what Mr. Garfinkel, one of the scouts, said. He said, hey, today they're so big, they still can work on their fundamentals. A lot of them shouldn't be going pros. But as far as the size, for the size, there's some big guys out there.
All the big guys, and I think golf is very, very correct. You know, again, what they've seen, you know, they see a lot of dunking of the ball. They see a lot, and they can all dunk. If you the smallest guy on the court can dunk the ball. But I think they need to now think about, you know, how do you hit the outside shot?
How to hit the outside shot. And that was one of his strengths right here. Howard White, Lefty Drizel. Oh, boy, they were great. Appreciate having you here. Vice President, President, you got it going on. CEO, thank you for your time.
Be the turtle.
Buck, back to you guys. You guys are holding it down.
Here the turtle is right. The Jordan Brand Capital Classic. We're at halftime, where the U.S. Stars lead the Capital Stars 61-45. Back for more halftime activities from Washington after these words. Capital All-Stars. Williams scored 20. The U.S. Stars to a 20-2 first quarter pacing of the Capital All-Stars. Williams scored 27 points, was named the U.S. All-Star MVP, but it would be another young man by the name of Chris Monroe, who went on to score 22 points, rallying the Capital All-Stars to a 125-113 victory. The future George Washington University Colonial would be named the Capital All-Star Most Valuable Player. Had a great career at GW. .328 to play here, third quarter. U.S. leading the Capital All-Stars 71-58. Steve Buckhantz with Glenn Kopsor from the MCI Center. That pass intercepted by Pele. He's just as adept with his hands as he is with his feet.
No question about it. You know, Pele's a great story. He was cut, actually, as a 9th grader at Magruder High School. And he worked so hard. I talked to Danny Harwood about this. He worked so hard on his game, made the team as a sophomore, started that year as well, obviously started as a junior, won a state championship. As you see the good penetration go in, a little foul underneath by Ted Scooches.
Well, cut as a 9th grader.
Cut as a 9th
familiar,
grader.
doesn't
it? Does. It has a familiar ring.
A young man down in Wilmington, North Carolina had the same experience.
And I'm not sure that Pele's going to have the same career, but you got to give guys like that a lot of credit, and it really goes to show you that players develop. And when I lecture to little kids, all I talk about is let your body grow. Don't worry about if you can't play right now, maybe in the 6th grade, because you might be able to play in the 9th grade.
Warren Williams goes all the way, throws one up, no good. Rebound comes to the other Williams, Chris Williams. Chris Williams from Oxon Hill High in Oxon Hill, Maryland, 6'5", 180. Not sure yet where he's headed for college.
What a great program that has been. Oxon Hill, Mark Butler, who is doing a great job for Jim Larinaga as a freshman, also came from that program.
Seconds to shoot. Shawan Robinson, baseline jumper, beauty. Shawan Robinson, strong all-around game, can do it all, embraces the game. As a player and a role model, he's headed to Clemson. Beautiful lay-in at the other end by Chris Williams. What a shot. Chad Moore around a Melchione screen. Nice pass inside. Unable to convert, Ted Skuchis, and here come the Capital Stars the other way. Williams inside, that's 2 in a row on the finger roll from Chris Williams. He's got 7 points. Long jumper's a beauty from Robinson.
Interesting jump shot. That release was like by his chin.
9 points for Shawan Robinson.
Not easy to shoot like that, but Robinson obviously has it down. You won't see any coaches change your jump shot if it goes in.
Running.
No matter what it looks like. If it's going in, let it go.
This guy's shot has been going in a lot, Robert Height, but he misses that one. And Williams brings it up over the timeline. Cross-court pass for Pele. Pele shoots and misses everything. Robinson fouled from behind by Chris McCray. And with just under a minute to play in the period, substitutes will come in. Brandon Bowman going to Georgetown. Has 3 3-pointers in the game. He'll come back in. There's a look at Bowman. Played at Westchester High in Los Angeles. And led his team to the USA Today #1 ranking for half the season before they were knocked off by Oak Hill Academy in the National Invitational in Houston.
The Oak Hill Academy had some great players. Chad Moore, obviously one of the top players, if not the top player in the nation, Carmelo Anthony. They were a dominant team under coach Steve Smith, who has won 4 national championships at Oak Hill.
Oak Hill is almost a minor league for the NBA. You hate to say it because a lot of those kids go on to college,
Right.
but you think of the players that have come out of Oak Hill. Ron Mercer, Rod Strickland, Jerry Stackhouse. I mean, these players they have down there are just spectacular.
And Steve Smith provides those guys with such a positive experience, you know, getting some kids out of some environments that might be so pleasant, and also the ability to play under Steve Smith, who really knows the game. He's a great teacher, has a nice way with the kids.
Michael Castro misses them both. The rebound inside by Williams off the glass, no good. No good. But again, the Capital Stars persistent, and Warren Williams again throws one in off the finger roll. Warren and Chris Williams are quite a dynamic duo. No relation.
Warren Williams had a chance to play with Travis Garrison at the Matha under Morgan Wooten. MVP of the DC title game was Warren Williams this year. So he's had a nice career.
And 3 quarters are in the books in the 29th annual Jordan Brand Capital Classic All-Star Game. And after 3 in Washington, the U.S. Stars continue to lead 81-67. We'll be back after these words. To 67. And let's send it over to Adrian Branch, who's standing by with one of basketball's most notable names, Sonny Hill of the Baker
Sonny
League.
Hill, legendary. Sonny, name some of the players all the way from Kobe Bryant and Wilt Chamberlain. Who you've had?
Well, in the Sonny Hill League, in the NBA, Kobe Bryant, Eddie Griffin, Rasheed Wallace, Alvin Williams, Katina Mobley, Malik Rose.
You keep doing it. You keep doing it. You're running a great program. Sonny Hill, the beginning and ending name in summer camps. We love you, Sonny.
Thank you, baby.
Back to you, Steve.
All right, Adrian. Well, the U.S. Stars had their biggest lead of 65-47 in the third quarter. The Caps cut that lead to 8, 73-65, on the strength of 6 U.S. turnovers, and the Capitals controlling the ball with no turnovers. But now the lead back up to 81-67.
Boy, Chad Moore really has a nice feel for running the fast break and waiting for his wing players to get to open spots. Not an easy thing to do. A lot of players kind of rush the pass and force the pass, and Chad Moore takes that extra dribble, kind of like Maurice Cheeks used to do with the Philadelphia 76ers. Getting in the lane, taking that extra dribble, and waiting.
Brandon Bowman to the free throw line where he misses the first. 6'8", 205. How do you see him fitting in at Georgetown?
I see him fitting in a lot of different ways. He could play the two-guard spot. I could play that small forward spot. Obviously, Georgetown losing Kevin Braswell this year, losing a lot of points and playmaking, and he could do a little of both, even though he's not a point guard.
Jermaine Thomas tried to squeeze one in inside, and it was blocked away off him out of bounds. Thomas headed for LaSalle, where he'll play for Billy Hahn. He followed Billy around, and very impressed with Coach Hahn.
Actually, Jermaine Thomas was recruited at Maryland and for Maryland when Billy left to take the LaSalle job, and I had a chance to talk to Jermaine about this. He's like, you know what? I fell in love with Billy Hahn. He really wooed me. He said he really won my heart over, and he made the decision to play at LaSalle, and I really think from seeing him play in some high school games this year that he could have played anywhere. And Billy Hahn's got it going, and it was a great decision because Billy Hahn's a great teacher and a great X and O guy on the bench.
And a good guy to boot. Robert Height hits another outside jumper. Height with 13 points in the game. Bowman chases it down, and here come the U.S. Stars. Lost out of bounds. It will be back to the U.S. Stars. Height has been impressive here, going to the University of Miami, went to Winton Woods High in Cincinnati, Ohio. Now speed to the basket.
Man.
No call as he went down hard.
You know, I had a chance to see him practice a couple times, and he was making moves like that, Buck. He was going in for the juke jam on someone's head on this move. Look at this. And he had it in his mind when he took off from the foul line that he was going to try to throw it down, and he was doing that in practice. Great hops, great acceleration. He can make the three-point shot, and that is a big-time recruit going to Miami.
Amazing quickness by Robert Height. The ball knocked into the backcourt, and Chad Moore retains possession. Nice pass inside, but knocked away. Galloway spins out of trouble. Nicely done. Ahmad Smith's spinning move no good, and Height up high for the rebound. He's got quickness, he's got hops. Here's Chad Moore, baseline around, pinned to the glass, and a blocked shot. Melchione is there for the putback.
Well, you got to like Kevin Steve. Defense, great timing, and he's active.
9:16 to go here in regulation, and the U.S. Stars with an 86-67 lead. And Galloway to the free throw line. One of the absolute top players in the region. Played in the Beltway League. He led them to the league title and the Virginia State runner-up spot. He hit clutch shots game after game for Notre Dame Academy. Makes them both. 7 points in the game for Todd Galloway. Down low to Scoochis. Nice move with a hook shot. First basket for Scoochis, who will play for the Commodores of Vanderbilt in Nashville. And scooches the rebound ahead to Melchione ahead of the pack, and he gets an easy slam.
He wasn't going to miss that one. He took his time. I love how he runs the floor. You know, when you watch him practice, Melchione also, he's got that love for the game, that passion. You can really see it in his eyes. He just loves to play. And again, I'm going to make that prediction that he's going to see a lot more minutes than people think as a freshman at Duke.
Boy, it's run and gun. The follow slam at the other end by Brandon Bowman, who's having a spectacular game.
So this is your kind of game, Buck. I'm expecting you to jump over the table and get involved in this action a little bit.
This little NBA run and gun. It's wild and woolly now. Heck of a move inside by Jermaine Thomas.
There was about 18 fakes on that move by Thomas around the back fake. Couple of turns, but he's always under control. What I like about Jermaine Thomas, Buck, is that he doesn't force things. He doesn't try to force anything. Rarely makes a turnover, and he gets to the foul line.
Showtime jam by Bowman, who will play his home games on this very floor for the Georgetown Hoyas. He's got 17 points.
Getting used to bending the rim a little bit.
And he leads all scorers. Thomas, the Washington Post Player of the Year, misses the shot. And scooches with another rebound. Another alley-oop. Oh, great play. Robert Height up high at 6'2", 185, and he can't get up. 15 points in the game for Height. Oh, follow slam at the other end. Nick George, who shoots nearly 71% from the field, and with follows like that, I guess so.
He's not shooting threes at 71%. They're all slammed.
14 points for Nick George, and the U.S. Stars have the lead 96-75 with timeout on the floor. Brand Capital Classic game, and with an even 7 minutes to play, the U.S. Stars have had a pretty good run with 96 points in the game. And since the Capital All-Stars cut the lead to 8, the U.S. All-Stars have outscored them 23-10 to lead by 21 points.
Well, we were expecting a game in the low hundreds, and we're going to get it, Buck, with over 6 minutes to play here.
Rashad Anderson, the follow, no good. Saved in to Nick George. And a nice defensive play, but they say that Foy came in from out, and they'll give it back to the Capital All-Stars. George very active underneath. Throws it up and scores. Nick George from Montrose Christian School in Rockville, Maryland, has 16 points in the game.
You know, Buck, if you remember Nate James at Duke, he really has a similar type game. Very active, 6'6", leaps. Inside, terrific move by the baseline that time by Anderson.
Wade Dunston with a nice job and a good pass inside. Smith lays it off as well. And a foul is called, and free throws will be taken. Nick George, to go along with his 16 points, has 7 rebounds in the game. And George will try to add to his point total at the free throw line. He helped Montrose to a Washington Post top 25 ranking throughout the season. The definition of a hustle player, 100% effort at both ends of the court. In fact, Stu Vetter, his coach, says Nick plays as hard as any player he's ever coached. And for Stu Vetter, who was at Flint Hill and now at Montrose Christian, that's saying a lot.
Without a doubt, Buck, you know, I had a chance to talk to Stu Vetter as well about that, and, you know, he just loves his intensity. You know, that's something that you can't teach, and you really work on teaching with players. But you got a lot of big-time schools looking at him as well. South Carolina, Dayton, LaSalle, and Billy Hahn, Western Kentucky, all would love this young man to sign on the dotted line and play for their respective schools.
Anderson underneath, and it's knocked away out of bounds. Nick George now the leading scorer in the game with 18 points. Brandon Bowman for the Capital All-Stars correction, the U.S. All-Stars has 17 points. Boy, the fadeaway shot. Castro, the rebound. 6 rebounds for Michael Castro in the game. Here's McCray going to Maryland. Fadeaway jumper, in and out. Cornette battling as he has the entire game. Taken by Lewis Hinnant. Good pass underneath. And the shot is up and in from Wayne Dunston.
So that's his game, Buck, Wade Dunston. He's all grit. 6'3" guard, he rebounds. Terrific defender.
Averaged 25 points at the Bullis School in Potomac. And the Capital team on an 8-0 run. Wingate shoots and scores. Jason Wingate from Rice High in New York, not decided where he's going. He's got 4 points in the game. 4:43 to go. Boy called for a foul.
Good penetration that time. A little behind the back pass. I'm not too sure what McCray was trying to do there. Pass it, shoot it. But he got bumped.
Pretty fancy guy. Quinn and Canner Medley coming into the game. Chris McCray, dynamic scorer, one of the most skilled players, pass makers and playmakers in Prince George's County. Tremendous ability to create off the dribble.
And he actually is going to be going to Maryland with John Gilchrist. And he played with Gilchrist in the Charm City Classic about 2 weeks ago, another high school all-star game, and they both had a chance to get a feel for each other and really enjoyed playing with each other. Gilchrist, the point guard. Cray, more of an off guard.
Tonight's 29th annual Capital Classic Stat of the Game, sponsored by the United States Navy. U.S. All-Stars have cranked in 10 three-pointers, and the Capital Stars just 3. Brandon Bowman has 3 of those 10 three-pointers as Rick Cornette goes to the free throw line. Homewood Christian Academy in Homewood, Illinois. Headed to Notre Dame to play for the Irish, as is Chris Quinn, who is from Dublin, Ohio. Cornette, 7 points and 11 rebounds in the game tonight for the U.S. Stars. Off the rim, recovered by Lou Hinnant.
That was intentional.
Jumper.
That was an intentional pass.
That was the pass.
Off the rim pass to the wing for a shot. Tough thing to teach.
Canner Medley the rebound. Here's Anderson. He pulls up for the long jumper on the wing and hits it. Rashad Anderson headed to UConn, one of the most versatile players we've seen. Knocked away from behind by Hinnant. Great pass inside by McCray. And give the basket to Michael Castro.
You got to love those segments where the ball doesn't touch the ground and guys move after they pass it. And that's the key. So many guys, when they pass it, they just stand around. You just got to keep moving.
I'm almost as impressed, Glenn, with the passing tonight as I am with some of these prolific athletes and their scoring.
Well, we've seen some great passes by Chad Moore and Chris Quinn, Lewis Hinnant. Now, these guys are going to, with that passing ability, are really going to be able to contribute fast in the college game. I love Rashad Anderson. I think he's going to be terrific at UConn. And, you know, it seems like Jim Calhoun, Buck, likes to recruit those guys like Denham Brown from Canada, 6'5" to 6'6", to play at UConn. And he's had some great ones in that realm, like Ray Allen and, of course, Rip Hamilton, one of your buddies here.
That's right.
Here with the Wizards. When you think about what UConn has coming back, Talik Brown and Karan Butler, although we don't know yet Karan Butler's status. Okafor in the middle. UConn's going to be real strong with these guys.
3:24 to go in the game, and the U.S. Stars with a 104-85 lead. Back to finish it off after this. 104-85 with 3:05 to go in regulation. As we take a look at the play of the game, sponsored by Toyota.
Jermaine Thomas with all kinds of fakes. So many fakes that the left side of the gym here, the MCI Center, shifted over. A little behind the back fake, and Jermaine Thomas, guy we highlighted in the beginning. Again, great feel for the game going to LaSalle.
U.S. squad scored the first 7 points of the game. They have never looked back. They led by 7 after the first quarter, by 16 at half, and by 14 after 3. Extended the lead to 23 here in the fourth quarter. Great play inside.
Boy, Chris Quinn is another guy with a great feel. Understands where guys are, and Mike Bray's got a dandy there. And you know, I talked about that. You know, you make a decision to go to a school. Chris Quinn's more of a combo guard. He can play 1 or 2. They have the great Chris Thomas in the backcourt there. But when you think about it these days, you know, those kinds of combinations work. Think about Duhan and Jason Williams at Duke. Worked so effectively over the last 2 years. There's no question in my mind that Chris Quinn can play with Chris Thomas.
Alley-oop to Chris McCray, and the future Terrapin scores. He's got 9 points in the game. Another alley-oop at the other end for another Maryland future star, Nick Cantor-Medley. Medley loses it on the floor, and it's put in by a guy who will be his future teammate. Oh, man, it's becoming showtime here tonight. Derek Byers at the other end.
These guys are having fun now. Court's wide open. Some layup drills, dunking drills, alley-oop. We got it all here.
Just sort of sit back and watch it.
Threes as well.
Jumper, yep. Follow up and in. Beautiful play.
So a lot of threes for an all-star game.
Byers gets another one. 10 points for Derek Byers. Chris Williams scores from Oxon Hill, Maryland. 1:19 to play in the fourth quarter.
You know, Buck, you got to love the Nike Air Jordan logo in the middle of the floor. That just looks so neat to me, that logo, the Jumpman.
It's
There
unmistakable.
he is. That's a great logo. Look at that.
Unmistakable.
And, you know, this game, Buck, for Jordan Brand is more than just putting products on players, but Nike, with the Jordan Brand, is providing these top players a very positive experience, teaching character, work ethic. Part of the experience here, this Jordan experience, is going to see the White House and some of the monuments and just a visit downtown. They had a chance to come to see the Wizards and the 76ers, so it's been a very, very nice experience for these players. Aside from getting a whole bunch of great Nike gear that I would like to get.
This will be an easy 2. Oh, nice play.
Come on.
And as a tribute to the athletic ability of these athletes, Glenn, every player in the game has scored tonight.
Sharing the wealth. Boy, I tell you what. If you're watching this game and you're watching the athletic ability of Cantor-Medley, you don't think he comes from a small town in Maine.
Yeah.
There's no way. I just think that's hilarious.
Big-time player. And if you're a Maryland fan, you have to be excited about Cantor-Medley and also Chris McCray.
A little off the glass pass
in this game.
Kaboom.
Throw stolen by McCray. Up ahead to Chris Williams. Showtime jam. And that is it. The U.S. All-Stars, who won by 20 last season, have come back with a 119-97 win here tonight. And on display, some of the most prolific talent in America. It was a good one.
Well, we really have seen such terrific talent here at the Jordan Brand Capital Classic. Larry Cullinan, and what a job he's done at Notre Dame Academy. Brandon Bowman putting on a show. Chad Moore, Cantor-Medley. Terrific athletes on both squads.
Speaking of Brandon Bowman, he is standing by with our Adrian Branch. Adrian?
All right, what I have here is the MVP from Georgetown. Congratulations, Brandon Bowman, on your new homecoming. How'd you feel out there today?
It feels great, you know. I've been here before, so I kind of felt like I was at home and came out here, played my game, and I was successful today.
Now, I know he teased. I'm going to take you back. He said, hey, AB, Ronnie Thompson, when we were doing the March Madness, says he reminds you of an Adrian Branch, but I'm going to say you remind me of a guy that plays in the NBA, Houston Rockets, Walt Williams, that inside-outside thing. Talk about that for a sec.
Well, you know, I've been developing my game on the outside. I started on the outside. I had like an 8-inch growth spurt since high school started, so, you know, I'm pretty familiar with the outside. You know, take the bigger guys out and post the little men up.
Congratulations. I know they're smiling from ear to ear. Have a great 4 years at Georgetown.
Thank you.
All right, back to you guys, Steve.
Boy, wouldn't that be something if he stayed 4 years at Georgetown? I know Craig Esherick would like that. Brandon Bowman, our Witten Laser Eye Capital Classic Player of the Game, who had a nice outing here with 17 points. He'll take his game from Los Angeles to Washington and play at Georgetown. Brandon Bowman, 17 points and 5 rebounds.
What a great coup that was for Craig Esherick to get a player of this caliber to come from Los Angeles. If you remember the years, the John Thompson years, there was that New Orleans connection, and coming out of the program that this young man came out of, Westchester High School in Los Angeles, which is a factory putting out tremendous players. You pluck one of those guys from that high school, normally some good things come after, and if he can keep going, that's just a terrific recruit.
So the U.S. All-Stars victorious 119-97. We'll step aside for a message and back with final thoughts after this.